Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled Need Advice. Wife cheated with a coworker and still works with him. We want to stay together. And guys, this whole story is about a guy who pretty much thought everything was good in his marriage. He's been married to his wife for 4 years, but have been living together for 11. And lo and behold, he finds out that she is hooking up with one of her coworkers, okay? And I believe, to my knowledge, because I read this before, this guy is a Mr. Mom. She leaves the house every day to go to her job and brings home the bacon. She pays the bills. Meanwhile, he's home with the kids. And I've told you guys before how a lot of these stories go where you have a couple and basically the wife works and the guy stays home with the kids, basically taking the traditional role that a woman would take back in the day, and she's taking the traditional role that the man would take as the provider. And it isn't before long that some cheating goes on, okay? Because obviously she starts to take the role as the guy, and he takes the role as the woman, and she starts losing attraction for him because her perception of him is obviously different then, and his perception of her is obviously different then. So, and also guys, in this title, pretty much it says everything I need to know about this guy by him saying that the wife cheated with the coworker, and she still works with him, and we want to stay together. Trust me, guys, I guarantee you, most of you guys that watch me now, if you guys were married and your wife cheated with a coworker, there wouldn't be any we deciding anything. You, the man, would be calling the shots from that point. But in this case, this shows me everything I need to know about this guy. So I'm going to go through his story here, guys, and point these things out along the way, because this guy definitely needs some help and some guidance. And at the end, there's some quotes that other guys have, other comments that some guys have commented on about his story that definitely are pretty blunt that the guy needs to hear. So, starts off, I've been married to my wife for 4 years and have lived together for 11. So in other words, he's basically been married for 11 years. She recently started a project at work with one of her coworkers and started traveling a lot with him and working late with him. I started suspecting things because she suddenly started getting better in bed with me, was working late and not answering calls and texts, and also suddenly stopped talking so much about this guy that she was spending the majority of her day with. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And it's amazing how many people, and it goes both ways to men and women, there could be all these red flags, but they pretty much they turn a blind eye and they don't want to believe something's happening. But human nature is what it is, okay? And it goes both ways for both men and women. This all started the summer of 2020. Around the fall sometime, I really started getting suspicious because I tried calling her one night while she was traveling for work and no answer. Our child was crying for her and I wanted them to do a video chat. I called and texted multiple times and no response until around 10 p.m. She said she had been working and was on a call. After she got back, I started looking at her phone history and noticed searches for things like how to have an affair, how to be friends with benefits, can you get pregnant from having sex after giving a BJ? Guys, a person's phone is pretty much will tell them everything they need to know about what's going on with them. I mean, it's amazing. And if for any of you guys are obviously looking things up on your phone, like say you guys watching me right now are in relationships or marriages and you're not happy and you're going to start looking for a way out, looking for divorce attorneys or whatever, make sure you delete your browsing history, because all she has to do is pick up your phone and start seeing what you're looking at, and then you're in deep shit. At least the element of surprise is gone. The week before Christmas, the news broke after someone from her work told me of their suspicion. She confessed to it all and was remorseful. I asked about every detail to the point where I was no longer able to imagine or worry about what may have happened. She said they initially started bonding because they both were not fulfilled at home. Okay, so in other words, he's blaming his wife because he's not fulfilled from her, and she's blaming him. So it's your fault, you know? Instead of actually communicating like adults, because they've been together for 11 years, that she's unhappy or unfulfilled and everything, she just decided to go ahead and cheat. That's her way of handling the situation. And I'm willing to bet you that she had no problem communicating about her day when she came home from work, talking about everything about what happened from the moment she got into the office to the end of the day, yapping for 45 minutes when you just want to sit on the couch and relax. But if there's actually, when it's time to talk about something important, about obviously she's feeling unfulfilled and all that, well, it's easier just to cheat. And that's how some people choose to handle situations like that. That's why the old line of once a cheater, always a cheater, that kind of goes on how it is. I mean, she probably learned that growing up. He says, I guess in the summer, they started talking about sexual things and how sex wasn't going the way they wanted with their spouses. The guy then told her he sent a D pic to his wife, but his wife didn't care. My wife playfully told him she didn't believe him. Translation, let me see it. I guess he said, it's up on my phone on my desk. So she looked at it. I guess he whipped it out and she gave him a hand job. What? Things snowballed every day since then, and multiple times per week we're getting each other off, but no sex yet. She said they would play with each other in his office, at work, or the lab. They worked together while on calls and passing, etc. So she's saying that they were doing everything else, but actually having sex. Sure. What is it? What is this? Junior high or early high school when people are like, oh, we do everything, but we don't have sex. I guess that night in the fall, I was correct in suspecting something because that was when they first had sex. She had packed and wore lingerie for him. She said they had dinner and flirted during the dinner. She invited him to her hotel and answered the door in her lingerie. I mean, this guy, he was really digging if this is what he got out of her to admit. They exchanged fellatio for about an hour, and finally he started rubbing himself all on her down there, and she jumped on him. All in all, it lasted 1.5 hours or so. She said it was because I kept calling and texting that they couldn't focus. Again, it's his fault. After she confessed and went back to work, she told him that I know everything. I told her, and she told him that if I suspected anything is still happening, I would tell his wife. I warned her that there would be severe consequences for her, as bad if it happens again. Severe consequences? Trust me, she wasn't concerned about severe consequences to begin with, because like I said in the beginning, the title of this story told me everything I need to know about this guy. The fact that he said we want to stick together, and the fact that he wasn't saying you're no longer going to work with this guy. In fact, you're no longer going to work at that place, or even going so far as to say, hey, it's over, sweetheart, we're done here. But no, she's now obviously staying, working at that place and working with this guy, and he's not laying down the law at all. And so you bet your ass, by his weakness and allowing this, she'll do it again. Mark my words. It may take a while, but you know, there are some women that like it when they do something and the guy lets them have it, puts them in the doghouse, so to speak. They like that guy to dominate them and essentially punish them for their bad behavior. Maybe she's one of those types. Who knows? But this guy doesn't exactly strike me as the type that's going to be laying out the punishments in the way that she would like. Who knows? He goes on, I want to stay with her because we have a child. I still love her on some level, and I understand that I contributed on some level to these feelings that she started having. Oh, for God's sakes, dude, he's taking blame for this. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're going to do relationships or marriages, the guy, it's the job of the guy. I don't care what political correct bullshit that people say. It's the job of the guy to be the leader and lead the relationship and obviously take her out and court her now and again. But it was 2020, so obviously depending where you live, lots of places are closed. It's not like you can just go out for an evening like you could during normal times. But regardless, even though he obviously probably wasn't courting her as much, it doesn't give her an excuse to go out and do what she did, okay? And gaslighting him like she was and making him feel it's his fault, it's a bunch of bullshit. But this guy is obviously weak. He obviously has a scarcity mindset. He's playing the I want to stay with her for the kid thing. Well, you think that kid's going to have a good environment to grow up in if mom and dad don't trust each other, don't love each other, there's tension, there's fighting? Believe me, I grew up in a household where things were really good between my parents, okay? I was very fortunate. But I have friends that things were bad with their parents growing up, and I guarantee you those guys probably ended up in marriages like that later on in life. You know, I'd really like to know what happened to my junior high buddies and my high school buddies, what happened to them, but the odds are something along those lines, and I've seen this in other situations. He says, we hadn't been having much sex or time for ourselves in general since COVID, because she travels for work and works late in general anyways. I am the primary parent. I'm also going back to school at the same time. So I haven't been trying very hard from my end to keep our relationship going strong. Okay, like I said, it is a job of the guy to be the leader for those who do relationships. I agree on that aspect. He's got to take charge, and even though they're busy, find ways to do shit together and initiate things. That's fine. But it does not give her the excuse to go have an affair with her coworker. You know, she's unhappy. She's got to communicate. And it's not fair to that guy. But this is obviously how she operates. And trust me, the odds are extremely great she's not going to change. But he's obviously hoping, and it's not going to go well for him in the end. So, my wife cheated on me with a coworker. She still works and travels with. I'm trying to be okay with it because she is being very open about things with me now, and I generally feel things are going well. She professed her love for me and desire to not divorce, but I cannot stop feeling like a relapse will happen because she still works with him. He has not told his wife, so he has not had any consequences. He also just got promoted, I guess. I really want to tell his wife, but I also want to ruin his wife's life and their 2 young children. This guy's a classic nice guy. If this guy, I totally disagree that he's staying with her. That's just my opinion, my experience in life, and the things that I know. But if he was going to stay with her for whatever reason, the kid, I don't know what, for God's sakes, she's got to get a new job. Okay? But this guy's even laying the law down there. She's still with the same company. She's still working with that guy. And now this guy's wife doesn't know about this? Come on here. If it was me, it'd be over with. I'd be out of there. And you can bet your ass that this wife would find out. Okay? If I was married, some dude was banging my wife, you bet your ass that guy's going to pay. His wife's going to find out about this, and he's going to get it financially. But this is the problem with this nice guy mindset. I'm not saying you got to walk around being an asshole, but you got to have some self-respect for yourself. Do you think she's going to respect him? Honestly, guys, do you think she's going to respect him given the fact that he knows they're cheating and he's not doing anything about it? I mean, aside from obviously reading her the riot act, and she obviously told him everything, supposedly. I guarantee you she didn't tell him everything, and I guarantee you when she was saying that it was only that one time and they were doing everything else but sex beforehand, that's a bunch of crap. And I guarantee you that soon they'll probably be hooking up all over again because that guy had no consequences and she's had no consequences. And she's not going to respect him as a man. She'll have probably less respect for him now than she did before all this happened because of the way he handled this. Okay? He's rewarding her very, very bad, horrible, bad behavior. He goes on. I should mention that she willingly told her mom and brother, and they both expressed support for me and not her. Her brother straight up told me he would help with legal expenses if needed. She has been answering her phone when I call, communicating with me more, and oddly, our sex life has been fantastic. He says that in capital letters. Mostly because of me initiating. It's weird, but my libido is up a ton somehow. So, interesting that she told her mother and brother, and the brother, he got support from them, and even her own brother said that he would help him with legal expenses and all that, obviously if things were to go down the divorce route. What does it say when her own family is basically supporting him and not her, and that the brother would be willing to help pay for a divorce? Obviously the brother knows his sister way better than her husband does. And it's interesting because a lot of stories I do about these guys, oftentimes the guy's cheated on and the family, usually the father, is he feels really bad for the guy. And he offers a lot of support because usually those dads know their daughters. You know, it's really sad. And sometimes the moms, they actually side with the girls because the mothers are kind of like the daughter. The acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. So I'm going to quick read you a few comments that I think are dead on about this guy, giving this guy a dose of reality here. First one says, you can't be serious. And he says, steps. Number 1, she has to quit her job. Number 2, get yourself an STD test. Number 3, 100% no contact with this guy. Number 4, tell the affair partner's wife you wouldn't be ruining his family. He did that. Number 6, tell HR at your wife's company. Number 7, post snup immediately. He says, she is in an affair fog. You need to wake up immediately, or wake her up immediately. Seek support from family and friends. You say he has no consequences since his wife doesn't know. What consequences does your wife have? Literally zero. She had to feel guilty for maybe a day or a few weeks. Dead on. And again, he's saying do all this stuff with regards to the work in case he decides to stay with her, which I don't think he should. Another comment, guy says, you won't ruin his wife's life. He did. Tell her before she gets an STD from the infidelity. Check your inbox. You sound like you'll rug sweep. Don't reconcile until you put her through the meat grinder that are the reconciliation guidelines. Exposure is the best way to end an affair. Affairs are like cockroaches. They thrive in the dark. Sunlight kills them. I like that. Another comment, this is longer but dead on. Guy says, you 100% cannot reconcile if she stays in contact with the affair partner at the same job. Either you make him quit via the HR department or she quits. There's no chance of reconciliation in your current situation. They will just take it underground, burn her phone, continuing the affair on company grounds, etc. That's what I said. They're going to keep on at it. He was not thinking about you when you try to continue the affair with your wife. Why do you want to be so selfless right now? Report the affair to HR. This is an abuse of power situation if he is her supervisor. Another guy says, I'm going to keep it real with you and be blunt as possible because I think you are a sweetheart of a man and have a good heart. It's probably written by a woman. Your wife did not end the affair. She told you she did to placate you. What she did to you was go back to her work, and her affair partner came up with a plan to keep both the affair and their marriages. In the office, all their romantic communication will be done in person at work, and they will have sex during their lunch breaks. They will still be able to come home to the spouses at the end of the day at their normal times. On work trips, now your wife knows all she has to do when she is traveling with her affair partner is to continuously check in with you. After the check-ins, her affair partner will be in her hotel room by the end of the night. They will just find different ways of getting better at hiding the affair from you. Of course, your wife declared her undying love for you and wants to stay married. You serve a very valuable function in her life. She needs you to watch the baby and keep the household in order while she has a passionate and carefree sexual relationship with her coworker. Guys, like I said before, I've done other videos about this, and the guy, he's the Mr. Mom staying at home with the kids or kid. Meanwhile, she's out bringing home the bacon, and even though it's the political correct thing to do to have the woman, she can go and earn a living and take care of the family, and the guy can do the old role as the wife and he can take care of the kids. At the end of the day, she's more in the position of the masculine man, and he's in the position as the feminine woman. The roles have been switched, and it turns both off. And you almost always bitterness, problems communicating, and of course affairs eventually do happen. She goes on, please tell the affair partner's wife. She deserves the opportunity to make an informed decision about her marriage like you were able to. By keeping the affair a secret to you, you are helping your wife's affair partner hurt his wife and make a fool out of her. I would hate for the poor woman to have more kids with this man. Also, both you and the affair partner's wife need to get an STD test like yesterday. There are so many STDs that go untreated, have long-term negative health effects, and she needs to know that her health was put in jeopardy. Both your wife and her affair partner have zero consequences. That's what I said. You are not on the road to reconciliation. This is a rug sweeping. What you are doing is helping your wife be a cake eater. She gets to keep both you and him. Your wife gets the stability of marriage and the spontaneity of an affair. Please think about your situation rationally. You are being played like a fiddle. And those are some harsh truths, but this guy needs to hear it, And a lot of guys, they really they don't want to deal with these things. They just don't have the strength. And again, they probably had fathers kind of like that, and they just have a scarcity mindset. This is why I teach you guys about self-improvement, making the best out of your lives, becoming the most valuable, high-status, high-valuable man you can be on so many levels. And that way then, because you have all these good things about yourself and you're doing well, you're never going to tolerate disrespect, bad treatment, bullshit from anyone. Okay? in all areas of your life: friendships, coworkers, clients, family, and of course, women that you get involved with. Because the second you start acting like a doormat, all respect is gone, and shit like this can happen. It's really, I feel bad for this guy, don't get me wrong. He's probably a good guy, but this guy's handling it like a little bitch, and she's going to treat him like a little bitch. So he's got to, again, in my opinion, I'd end it. It's toast. Move the hell on. And if she is the one bringing home the bacon and pays all the bills, he's going to be entitled to alimony. It depends. They've been married 4 years, so he's going to get something, I would assume. It depends on the state and all. But or if he's going to stay with her, which I think is a mistake, at the very least, she's out of there. She's no longer working with her, and she's not working with that guy, and I would be there contacting his wife, okay? Believe me. So, anyway, guys, that's an example of what can happen in this world when you display weakness and you don't pay attention to what's going on, and things could definitely get worse if you don't handle it the right way. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.